See, we're getting a slow start this evening. Thank you, Catherine, for co-hosting. Those of you who are sitting here may not know that Catherine was not scheduled to be on with us tonight, but she stepped in when one of our other co-hosts was not able to do it tonight. So that's Howie Gelman, and we wish him well because he's not feeling well. So thanks again, Catherine. We are once again given the great good fortune of being able to practice together, even in these isolated, not in-person times. We can still simulate or just have our own unique experience of togetherness, and try to remember what we need to remember, try to help create a little resilience, a sense of freedom even during such trying times. And as I look at you, I realize that this is really, as Thich Nhat Hanh said, the next Buddha will be the Sangha. And without you, we can't easily stay afloat. So thanks for your practice. Thanks for being here. And just in the spirit of togetherness, love for all of you, whoever is willing to turn on your camera, unmute, and say good evening, say where you're calling in from, and let each other hear your voices.
I'm Joe. I'm here from Samsara.
Well, join the club.
I'm Isabel. I'm here from Nirvana.
Baba.
Wonderful.
Big love from Big Love.
Big love, big love.
You've all graduated from Nirvana and love. Anyone else?
Carly from Berkeley.
Carly from Berkeley.
Arizona.
Terry from Victoria.
Yay.
Death Valley.
Yay, Arizona.
Barbara
Death
from
Valley, wow.
Vancouver.
Paul from Laguna Beach.
Mary from Santa Barbara.
Laguna and Santa Barbara.
Kath from Regina.
Catherine from
Regina.
Coal Valley, San Francisco.
Yay.
John, San Antonio.
Wonderful. San Antonio. Well, we have the North America surrounded, and so let's hold all the beings who, seen and unseen, throughout our lands, and hopefully far beyond, hold everyone with a real heart of loving kindness, and dedicate our practice tonight to being a light, a love in this world, and be happy that we have within us this capacity to turn toward love, go against the stream of greed and hatred and confusion, and awaken to the natural freedom that is our own mind. So thank you. May it be so. This is a time each week. Okay, we have to mute everyone if you don't mind again. Mute.
I think everyone's muted. Howie.
Great, thank you. So this is a good time to let the dust settle from greeting each other from everything that has happened to you this day. Whatever it is, it's over. To let us release whatever worries we might have of what will come, because it remains in the realm of the unborn, the imagined future. A chance to just rest our attention in the only reality, which is here. And now. And notice how just a few moments of letting go of the stresses of past, the stresses of future, so much of our stress is bound up in our thoughts of time. But notice how just a few moments of letting go of time and just feeling our sitting body, knowing that we are aware here, notice how the dust settles, how the mind begins to soften and ease. And even if there are residues of strain, tension, restlessness, just let them slowly melt into the openness of your practice. The openness of being aware, which has no judgment at all. It's just aware. It has no agenda. It's just aware. It has no preferences. It's just aware. So let your body and mind bathe in that non-judgmental, kind, and interested attention. And once we are a little bit more oriented to real time, what we find is most prominent is this body. And when I say that, I don't mean the idea or image of this body. I mean the felt experience. We find its elemental qualities, its heaviness, its aliveness, its vibration, its pulsation, its cohesion, its temperature. Feeling this, we have our accessible and real-time experience of nature, back to nature as it expresses itself in this living body with its senses, perceptions. This is where the Buddha said that we find the world, the real world, where we find the cause of the world, where we find the end of the world, where we find the path, all within this fathom-long body. So when we find our body, we realize we do not have to search for anything else at any other time. Our search is over. We become finders, not seekers. We can relax. Just be aware. Knowing if we're feeling our body, feeling our breath, that we've already reached the highest mountain. the pinnacle. There is no higher mountain to climb than this body, this breath, this awareness. Because we have the habit of going out in search, of leaving, we intentionally anchor our attention. We try to stay here without strain or struggle. We simply remain undistracted, feeling our body, feeling our breath, as long as it lasts. We slowly also include other sense experiences that may become stronger than the breath, the general sense of the body. Other sensations, aching, burning, stabbing, itching, moods, happy, sad, fearful, anxious, glad, delighted, calm. We also include the expressions of our mind, the mind objects, thoughts, images, emotions, the combination of thoughts and the bodyfulness. Welcoming anything that reminds us of our love of being right here. We support it all with the simple anchor of the whole sitting body or the breath. And we stay undistracted, again, as long as it lasts, knowing that from time to time, our mind will go out in search. We will get lost in our imagination. At whatever point you realize your mind has wandered into the imagined past or future, that moment that you recognize it is a moment of being here again. And once you're here, just relax without any judgment at all. Welcome the next arising breath, the next sensation, the next sound, the next thought, the next mood, anything that can be known in real time. We welcome just this moment, just this breath, or whatever presents itself in this great open field of awareness. No need to search. Just this. Noticing any attempt to make something happen. This will create tension. This is greed in the mind. Notice any resistance or contentiousness with what you're experiencing. This is aversion in the mind. Will also create tension. Notice if you're either just checking out or making your experience into a narrative about yourself. This is delusion in the mind, personalizing these changing conditions. If you notice any of these, greed, hatred, delusion, just be happy that you're aware of it. This is the right experience. No need to do anything about it or undo it. It's self-correcting. Just this moment, just this breath, or whatever attitude or mind state, thought is arising, just know it. Rest in this natural, relaxed knowing. Be aware. Just this moment. In the last minutes of the practice, let go of trying. Just notice how natural and effortless it is to be aware. Just be aware. It doesn't matter right now what you're aware of. Just let yourself bathe whatever's happening. Let it bathe in that non-judgmental field of being aware. Awareness is already peaceful. Already free. Always available. Just be aware. I always find these moments at the end of a sitting to be some of the most interesting, to just sense the fragrance of mind and body when there's a complete cessation of trying, noticing how effortless being aware is at this time. How much more settled the body is when we're not trying to make something happen, resisting anything, just here. Tibetans call this non-meditation, but it's the real meditation. Not so much about doing, it's more about just being in a state of lucid awareness, which is very natural. The active part is a kind of training that prepares us for meditation. The muscle of mindfulness, the muscle of directing our attention. That's what makes meditation possible. But that's mindfulness, that's concentration. But meditation is what you are naturally. If none of that makes sense, forget about it. Forget about it. pleasure to sit with you. I am curious to hear what you noticed this evening in your practice. Any questions, comments, descriptions? Gudars, thanks for breaking the ice. Happy to see you.
Thank you, Howie, and good evening. Howie, I was rushing to join the meditation, and I joined halfway, so I was in a kind of a stress state. And as I was sitting, I noticed, due to a number of issues, upcoming travels, I was in this unsettled state and anxious and all those things that come with that. And then for a moment, I used what you had shared or what you had instructed in the past. I said, "Oh, this is what unsettledness feels like, or this is what anxiety." And it's not that I didn't know this, but I almost started talking to it, which might sound crazy in my head. So, and for a moment, it kind of almost, I was smiling because it was just a conversation and there was nothing to it. So it was one of those, and it just, it comes and goes. But at that moment, it was just very interesting that at that moment, it was nothing just but a thought.
Beautiful, beautiful. You just gave the whole discourse on transforming our relationship to
Yes.
the afflictive states of the heart and mind, and they're unpleasant. But when you turn toward them, when you say this is what this is like, the reactivity eases, and then there's the state itself is no longer, as it seemed to you, no longer that.
I mean, it was at that very moment, but it comes and goes. But it felt like it doesn't. That grip it's not. So that was very interesting.
Yeah, wonderful. That's beautiful. Nothing to add other than appreciation for your practice. Anyone else? Sally, you have your hand up, but so feel free to unmute and we'll go from there.
So I have COVID and I've been quarantining and meditating a lot. So it was just so easy and wonderful to just slip into this state with all of you. And it was so beautiful, no effort, because I'm already quiet to begin with.
Well, it's wonderful that you're here. Sorry that you have COVID, but your presence is such a reminder that there's COVID, and then there's our relationship to COVID, and it seems like you're riding the waves of COVID without necessarily being grim about it, and able to still be happy and well. And be with us, especially. Anyway, I hope you feel better very quickly. And there was a chat text that said that they love the paintings behind you.
My mother did those paintings.
Wonderful. Yay! You've got lots of applause in the Zoom room. Anyway, glad to see you. Hope you heal quickly.
Thank you.
Misha, please feel free.
Thanks, Howie. Your meditation and guidance was very helpful for me tonight. I mean, I can say that most nights, but again, tonight, I found myself having to do a lot of just saying yes to whatever it was I was noticing. Yes to attention, yes to a thought, yes to twitching, yes to worry.
Yay.
Yay. Yeah, I'm just intermittently struggling right now because I have an 11-day retreat coming up. It's going to be Zoom based, But this time I'm having a lot of challenges around setting needed boundaries in my life to be able to create the retreat container while being at home. And so I don't know what this retreat's going to be like, if I'm going to, I mean, I hear from people that you never know, and it doesn't matter how many.
Doesn't matter right now at all.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, but it just doesn't really matter right now. It's just having a moment of wonder and worry, and that's all it is. And so if you find you're getting upset in some way, just to be able to be gentle with yourself and remind you that you can't take care of that retreat yet. You can only lay the groundwork right now. And how much can you do right this moment to help your retreat? But as I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you, I sense that there's some kind of underlying mood or emotion. Are you allowing yourself to feel whatever that is, or am I just imagining that?
Oh, no, you're not imagining it. Yeah, even though I've gotten clarity around where I need to set boundaries about being not available to people for support, because I haven't been able to figure out any way that I could be available and have it not just be an ongoing worry. So it's just one of the hardest things I've ever done, Howie.
Well, I don't think we can talk long enough to get all the information I need to be able to respond. But meanwhile, your real business in all this is to take care of your presently arising state. That's it. Anything more is you're biting off more than you can chew. Anything other than to, and I think if you keep with that basic what your real business is, I think the clarity will come. The wise decision or wise way of managing things will emerge from being as settled as you can with yourself. So anyway, good luck.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Mary, last but not least.
Hi. I was really relating to what you were saying because I've been reading The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle's book, and he talks a lot about, just what you've been talking. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you beautifully.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I can't see you so well, but I can hear you.
I'm sorry. I live in an older building and I have no plugs on that side. And I've tried that light thing, but it's almost like then I'm like,
That's okay. I'm teasing a little bit. It's totally fine. I'm so thrilled that you're here.
Okay. I've got to figure out an alternative lighting, but I haven't gotten it yet.
No, you don't have to do anything.
Okay. Anyway, I realize I'm really in chatter tonight, aren't I? It's gotten dark. But, it's before the meditation, I was texting with my son in Austin. We've been trying to figure out like airline tickets and days and coordinate for a trip. And of course, I sent him some options, and of course, he texted me back. He bought me a ticket. All this was happening while I had started the meditation. So it was initially a little distracting, like, what should I do? But anyway, I will talk to him later or tomorrow. And but it did create a little bit of disturbance, shall I say. And but then I just kept breathing and sitting, and I thought, okay, you need to settle down. It's very exciting, but you need to settle down now. And I was so surprised that by the end of the meditation, I felt like really wonderful, like I had really been meditating. Like even though I didn't think that was happening, it did, despite myself, sort of. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yeah, there is meditation magic. However, what may have slowed your settling was associating a successssul meditation with feeling wonderful. I think we sometimes we feel wonderful, sometimes we don't. I think so. It's really, I'm saying this to everybody.
Right,
It's really
right.
important that we look in our practice. Are we trying to settle? Are we trying to make something happen? Because that creates tension. That's greed in the mind. Are we resisting something that's happening? So it really comes down to not so much whether your mind is busy or agitated or this or that. It's how it is you're approaching the practice. Am I doing it with greed in my mind and aversion, or am I doing it with, okay, this is the way it is, as Gudars was saying, oh, this is what anxiety is like. And can we really have not set up, and not you in particular, but everybody, can we really practice without setting up what we like against what we don't like? And having said that, it is wonderful, and I'm happy for you that you felt settled at the end. Because if we didn't have some version of settled and the joy and the beauty of practice, we wouldn't keep going because it's hard,
Right.
and our lives are hard. So it's really nice that you can have a break. And what often eases us into that is not trying to make it happen.
Right. I didn't think it was happening. Science really surprised me.
Well, happy you stayed with it. Happy all of us are still.
Turn this around for a minute so you can see me. I'll put on the pillow. Hi.
So long, Mary. Have a good trip in Austin.
Okay, thank you.
Catherine, I see your hand, so I don't want to. I want you to be able to speak your mind. So please feel free.
Thank you. So I just had kind of an agitated practice. I was just really itchy, which is interesting because I remember when I first started practicing, itching sensations were a huge issue for me, and I haven't really experienced much of that, but boy, they came back with a vengeance. But I feel like I don't know if it's a level of what I'm really concerned with right now. My father-in-law died on Tuesday night, and we were there with him. And
sorry about your loss.
Thank you.
Jason's loss.
Yeah. It was he was at peace, and they were with him when he took his last breath, and then we sat with the body.
Cool.
And I'm just really bothered by the question of where did he go? Like it was just so weird because he was alive and then he was dead. And I know there's the cosmology of the or the idea of the bardo, and it's just a very
unknowable
huge, profound thing that's it was very it's very strange.
Indeed, and unknowable. And yet
the fact that someone can be so alive and then be not alive.
They're not alive in the way that we experienced them before.
Yeah, and to see the body as a container that held
this life force.
Yes. For so long. He was 85. So for 85 years, that body breathed, and that body held this force. And the fact that, the body is no longer needed. The force is either over or dissipated out into the universe. It was such a lovely, serviceable body, I don't know. It was I don't really have a question. I guess I don't really have a question that you can answer, but it was a very, it's a very profound and weird experience.
I really appreciate that. And I think those kinds of questions, those what the Buddha called the unanswerables,
Hmm.
if you think about them too much, you'll go crazy. But if you
Hmm.
leave it as an open question, that's actually an awakened state to discover. It creates the freedom to discover.
Mhm.
And that state itself of openness is a kind of freedom. So if we get too caught up in thinking about it or excessively employing our rational mind, trying to fit it into our usual conceptual framework, it'll create a lot of tension. But
Mm.
it is a wonder.
Yeah.
And let all of us just be in a state of awe instead of what's commonly a state of a state of reactivity, a state of
Yeah.
Something's wrong, or
Mm.
this is just the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, fear, I really did notice conditioned fear around going in and seeing the body. And
Yes.
it was just like very conditioned.
Yes.
But we've been, listening to Gil and the Satipatthana Sutta, and early on was the contemplation of corpses.
Corpses, yeah.
And I haven't ever had the opportunity to do that.
Well, it's interesting that you say fear because I don't want to. We'll move on to things.
Yeah.
But the first, I had the good fortune of going as a practice to sit in a laboratory with cadavers.
Mm.
And my initial reaction, this was back in the 1970s, my initial reaction was to project on them that they were still moving.
Oh.
That's how intolerable it was to even the whole concept of death and dying at that time. But we slowly work with our minds around it and get used to the naturalness of it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, sorry for the loss though, and any upset. I did read something today, and I'm going to go to the gallery view and share this with everyone. I think it may be relevant to tonight's some thoughts I had, but I'll just read this before we take a short break. This was from Thich Nhat Hanh, and he talked about 3 doorways to liberation. And one of them he called emptiness, is seeing that everything is empty of separate individuality. And I could elaborate on that. The classic example he used is when we look into a beautiful chrysanthemum, we get the impression that the flower is full of the cosmos. Everything in the cosmos is there in the flower, including the clouds, sunshine, soil, minerals, time, space, everything. It looks like the whole cosmos has come together to manifest the flower. The one contains the all. There's only one thing that's not there, and that's a separate entity, a separate existence. The flower is full of the cosmos, of everything, but the flower is empty of a separate self. So that's understanding that as one of the doorways to liberation. The second one, which I'm going to share, the third one is called aimlessness, is stepping out of that idea that keeps perpetuating a sense of being bound, the sense of that I have to become other than I am, I have to get somewhere, I have to become someone. That really touching into aimlessness, not having any aim, which is what we point to in the meditation practice tonight. But the one that I want to read tonight, Catherine, to you, is the second doorway to liberation, which is called signlessness. And I'll read what Thich Nhat Hanh said. I'll read 3 paragraphs and then we'll take a little pause. The second door of liberation is the door of signlessness. Sign means the appearance, the form. You might be fooled by an appearance. You might be fooled by the form. And that is why we have to train ourselves to see beyond the forms, beyond the signs. Suppose you have a particular sympathy with a certain cloud. I wrote a poem about a river that was chasing a cloud all day long, and he suffered because the clouds are impermanent. When your cloud is no longer there in the sky, you cry, "Oh, my beloved cloud, where are you now? I miss you." You have passed from being into non-being. I cannot see you anymore. That's what we feel when we lose someone who is close to us. Just yesterday, he was alive. She walked and he talked. She smiled, and today, nothing. She looks like she has passed from being into non-being. But in fact, our cloud is still there. In the beginning, maybe half the cloud has become rain and the other half has become snow. We should train ourselves to see the continuation of our cloud, for it is impossible for a cloud to die. Because to die means from something, you suddenly become nothing. From someone, you suddenly become no one. Looking deeply into the heart of reality, you don't see anything like that at all. Nothing can be reduced to nothingness. It is impossible to pass from being into non-being. Your beloved one is still somewhere, and if you have the eyes of the Bodhisattva, you can still recognize your beloved one in her new appearances, in her new signs. So you have to look beyond the sign, and that is the wisdom of signlessness. In order to remove our grief, to remove our despair and our fear, we should get behind the signs. The Buddha said that when there is a sign, there is a delusion. And that is why we should not count on signs. You have to learn to see things in the light of signlessness. So, do with that as you wish, but it's really learning how to see ourselves, to see our loved ones in that wider view of interbeing, of interconnectedness. So your turn again, Catherine, for any announcements for the evening, then we'll just have a short 2-minute break.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, the big announcement is that next Saturday there is a half day.
This Saturday.
Sorry, this coming Saturday, half day retreat from 9 to 1 on Zoom. And I am going to put the information in the chat. You do need to register, and I'll put a link there. And the theme is Give Peace a Chance. So I don't know if Howie, you want to say anything more about the theme, but I hope everyone can come and sit together for a half day.
Well, the only thing I'd like to say is not so much about the topic, other than that, peace is something that is intrinsic in our nature, and just spending 4 hours not straying away from our nature inevitably creates the conditions for that peace to be appreciated, realized, stabilized, enhanced. And so it's always a wonderful thing to do. This last Saturday, many of you were there, but I led a half day with the Regina Insight Meditation Community of Regina, Saskatchewan. And just those 4 hours of nurturing the continuity of quietness and the peace of being aware, there was a palpable sense of both intimacy and deepening that happened for anyone who joined. So it's a real opportunity, even in these times where we can't meet so easily in person, to be with each other in this form. It's not 4 hours on camera. It's sitting, Just like you're not necessarily looking at the camera. Then there's some short periods of walking practice, and then sitting, and if you're not able to walk, some kind of movement. But that alternating period of sitting and walking, even for 4 hours, even though that 4 hours came very quickly, it was still really delicious in the capacity that giving ourselves that time has for settling our hearts and balancing our nervous system. So please come. Can't wait.
Howie, there's one question about when, if someone has registered, when they will receive the Zoom link to join the.
I think, Mary, if you're here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, they should. I think it's often you get it initially, but if not, there's a series of emails that go out the morning of. And if you don't have it, drop an email at sf.mission.dharma@gmail the morning of if you still haven't gotten anything, and I'll send you the direct link.
Thank you, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Catherine. So let's just take a couple minutes to stretch, do a bio break, offer Donna if you're so inclined, and then we will continue. Thank you.
And Donna, information is also in the chat, how different ways you can give your Donna if you're so inclined.
Thank you, Catherine. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with the evening. Since I very briefly mentioned the third doorway to liberation, first one being emptiness, second one being signlessness, which I read a little bit. The third one is aimlessness. And I thought as an entree to the few minutes of time we have left for a little Dharmet, I thought I would start with this. And Thich Nhat Hanh said the third concentration is called aimlessness. The meditation on aimlessness helps us to see that everything is there already. You don't need to run anymore. And you can let go of your longing, your craving, your desire. When a flower practices aimlessness, she feels that it is wonderful to be herself. This form is a wonderful manifestation of the cosmos. She does not have to be something else. She does not want to become a daffodil or a lotus flower. She is beautiful as she is. You are already what you want to become. You don't need to be another person or to run anymore. You are the manifestation of the cosmos. Thanks to the practice of aimlessness, there is no longer any complex, any longing, any desire. There is complete satisfaction, complete fulfillment. What you want to achieve is already there. So you hear in the teachings, you hear this message over and over. That you are, one way of talking about it is each of us is already what we are looking for. And I think it's important right now in the furnace of the world to remember this essential satisfaction, this what Trungpa Rinpoche called basic goodness, this basic okayness, enoughness in our nature. Why is it so important right now? Because if we are busy searching, if we are busy caught up in our longing, it's really hard for us to feel the cries of the world. It's hard for us for our compassionate heart, for the bodhisattva in us to really manifest, because we're reinforcing the view that we are small, that we are insufficient, that we are not enough, that we are apart from life. And that fundamental delusion of thinking that we exist independently apart from everything that's happening. And our small view of ourselves as unfulfilled, as insufficient, makes us wobbly, makes us fall into what this woman named Jocelyn King called the quicksand of somethingness, rather than the firm ground of emptiness. We need the firm ground to be able to have a sense of strength and resilience and to be a light into this world, to be available to others. And rather than think of it as so grand, it's just really being simple, available. Since my time is so short tonight, I promise I will elaborate on this in the next time we meet. I'll just say that what was motivating me, I was having a conversation with someone who, this was a while ago, somebody whose near and dear one had died, and they were just naturally adjusting to the reality of death and dying, of the worlds coming and going all the time, and wondering where the stability was, where to where to rest. And I had been thinking about the poem from Rumi called Inside This True Love, and I actually shared it last Saturday on the half day. I think I started the half day with it. It says, inside this new love, die. So it means dying into life. It says your way begins on the other side. Let's see if I can find it. Inside this new love, die. Your way begins on the other side. Become the sky. Take an axe to the prison wall. Escape. Walk out like someone suddenly born into color. Do it now. You're covered with thick cloud. Slide out the side and die. And be quiet. Quietness is the surest sign that you've died. Your old life was an endless running from silence. The speechless full moon comes out now. Now we can talk about it in this transcendent way, this grand way of dying into your life, of realizing the deathless, the unborn, Buddha nature. But I think it's found in the simplicity of the heart of somebody who's actually just present, when you are just present. The natural response of the heart, the quivering heart, is to want to do something to help. Someone sent me, and I'll end with this and go back to the larger topic another evening, but someone sent this to me today, this video that I would like to share with you as we begin to close. And I think it's important to remember that this simplicity, this caring heart, this openness, this awakened quality is in our humanity. And it's not just a world that is bound up in war. Now, and as an entree, I'll read once more the words of Howard Zinn, historian, wrote the People's History of the U.S. He says, to be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but of compassion, sacrifice, courage, kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top of a world in a different direction. And if we do act in however small a way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents. And to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory. So we can talk about it as dying into life, or a succession of moments of being present, being available. And here is a beautiful example that I'll leave you with, and then we'll say goodnight to each other.
life is the list of all the children. This is Vera Diamond, now Vera Gissing. We did find her name on his list. Vera Gissing is with us here tonight. Hello, Vera. And I should tell you that you are actually sitting next to Nicholas Winton. Is there anyone in our audience tonight who owes their life to Nicholas Winton? If so, would you stand up, please?
Thought you might appreciate our true heart. May we all awaken to our compassionate hearts, our empty essence, filled with clarity, compassion, and love. So, thanks for listening, and please feel free to say good night to each other. Thanks for your practice.
Night.
Night.
Night, everybody.
Good night,
Good night, everybody.
Everybody, great to see everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, Howie.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Howie.
night.
Thank you. Bye.
Happy,
Good
happy.
night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
Hi, everyone, wherever you are.
Bye.
How sweet.
Thanks for the joy tears.
Sweet dreams, everyone. Catherine, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.